welcome to Forbes India presents ServiceNow, the COO Collective. I'm Mridu Bhandari. Artificial intelligence today is no longer just a back office tool. It's transforming the way we work, decide, and deliver value. From insurance claims being settled in minutes to investors experiencing seamless journeys to risk insights generated with speed and precision to enterprises where humans and AI agents collaborate, this is the new reality of work. And what makes India unique is not just our scale, but the opportunity to leapfrog, building trust, inclusion, and innovation into AI adoption from the ground up. So on the COO Collective today, we've brought together leaders from insurance, mutual funds, risk analytics, and enterprise transformation to explore one central question: how is AI at work in India, reimagining operations, experiences, and ecosystems? Let me welcome the experts on my panel today, starting from my far right, Kanika Garg, COO of Generali Central Insurance Company; Gurpreet Chhatwal, Chief Operating Officer at CRISIL; Ashish Lahoti, Chief Transformation Officer at ServiceNow; and Keerti Gupta, COO of Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the COO Collective. Well, we've all been talking about AI and exploring AI, and you are all, experimenting with it and moving ahead of the curve by harnessing it. So I want to start by quickly laying the context of how you are using AI in daily operations. And Kanika, if I may start with you. Now, insurance can be a deeply human experience, especially for customers when it's stressful times, when it's time to get a claim. Give us a sense of how you are using AI to create lifelong relationships with customers, especially in some of their most critical times of need.
Let me just not limit my thoughts to insurance, maybe because I like to touch base a little bit also on the times when I have worked with the NBFCs and the mutual funds. So I think the one of the pattern remains same. The consumer, especially in India and I may say Bharat, is yet new to the BFSI world to a large extent, except for maybe the banking and the branches experience. So to this, it's very important that we are right then and there with them at every touch point. We talk about omni-channel and everything, but in a true sense, the AI is bringing that omni-channel experience right from the time when the customer is exploring what products or what maybe mutual fund means or the insurance means, and in the native language, which is comfortable to that customer. So AI has made the life easy in terms of creating those videos and the content that we want to talk about, from the time to purchasing that product right on your WhatsApp rather than coming to an app or a desktop experience, and then the entire management of that life cycle once the customer is purchased. It might be the claims or the payment part in the NBFC, or in the insurance could be, claim I touched upon, but yeah, so that's a spread we need to look at and maintain that relationship with the trust, if I'm
right. And I'm going to pick up on the word trust and ask you to weigh in as well, Keerti. In whether it's insurance, whether it's investments, trust and ease of use are absolutely critical for the consumer. So SIPs in India are at a record high. With great scale comes great complexity as well. So now, how are you applying AI to really reduce friction, whether it's in terms of KYC, it's in terms of mandate management, it's in terms of service queries, and generally making the consumer's life easier?
Very important. And I think the biggest contribution AI can make it when you're dealing with your money, and as a mutual fund or any of the financial institutions, we are acting in a fiduciary capacity. The most comfortable a customer will feel when you have the ability to empower the customer that they can do whatever they want to do with their investments. It may be, if I need to transact, can I transact? If I need to do my portfolio management, can I do my portfolio management? I need to do a risk evaluation of my portfolio, can I do that? If I'm able to see things at the click of a button in a manner in which I understand, in a manner in which it is very, very simple in a way in which a language which I understand with no jargons in my native language, my comfort and confidence goes high. And at this particular point of a time, when we still believe that the mutual funds and the wealth creation process in India only involves 4 or 5 crore of people, and we are talking about a country with a much, much larger population base, 7% of GDP in MF out there. I think this can help. This can help us in expanding and reaching to the last mile of the investor. We are talking about various kind of a new products and processes and dealing with that. That can make the whole process very, very seamless, because I'm able to integrate various channels or various components within the purchase or the customer life cycle piece out there. So this helps me in making my customer empowered. And in order to make my customer empowered, one of the most important things which I need to do is I have to make my back office very, very simple. And this helps me in making my back office far more standardized, seamless. I can do it in a very molecular or micro manner, so that the person can understand and see the real time information that happens. And I think that can be the biggest. If I'm able to empower, I'm able to make the customer more confident and trust that my money is safe, I think we will be able to do.
Right, absolutely. Well, let's also look at risk and analytics now, where speed and accuracy really have to go hand in hand. So, CRISIL's AI driven solutions have been recognized globally, and congratulations on that. Well, how is AI then reshaping the way your operations really deliver the insights to your customers around the world? And how do you balance speed with accuracy? Because that is really, really critical for a regulated body like yours, right?
Thank you. I think it's a great question. I think first of all, I think I'd like to acknowledge the work some of our people have done. We've recently been recognized on Chartist ranking as well as Gartner's reports on some of the how we've built AI in some of our products. I think it's testament to the work we've been doing over the last few years. So let me just come to this question. Um, I think what CRISIL is known for is the insights it delivers to its customers, be it Indian banks, be it stakeholders, even regulators are our stakeholders, as well as many of the global banks. We work on white label research and risk with them. I think what they look for is the insights we bring, and then they use those insights in many of their mission critical decisions. Now, what we've done is that we've used AI to help us bring those insights quickly in a scalable manner, in a way that uh, with the connected world, a lot of information is coming in. It's coming in very fast. So the idea is to synthesize it, bring it together. But I think the principle we've been using is that we've used what we call as human in the loop, or the fact that what gets to the final customer is the insight which CRISIL is known for. So we will have, be it individuals, be it analysts, be it experts, be it rating committees, all of them still function the way they do it. But what comes to them is synthesized in a manner and shape quickly so that they can take decisions, and the customer still gets what CRISIL is known for, the right insight. So we spend a lot of time using the intellectual capital and the data and the domains we have to bring the solutions, but we bring them faster in a much more concise and precise way.
Right. Well, finally, Ashish, you've heard from all of them, and now I want the tech enablers perspective. At ServiceNow, of course, everything is about transforming workflows end to end. Give us a sense of how AI agents working alongside us, not just chatbots, but not assisting us anymore, really performing the tasks for us, are going to transform the workforce of the future. How are you piloting or scaling this idea really at ServiceNow? Give us a few lessons you've learned along the way.
Absolutely, happy to do that. Being an AI platform organization, we have to walk the talk before anybody else. And so, before we actually become generally available with capabilities such as agentic AI, we start incorporating the technology to run our own business, which is a fairly large scale business. So, we've launched in the last 8 months since agentic AI has been around internally, a few hundred workflows. And so what's it's been quite dramatic. Um, so this is where the hype and the reality comes together. So I'll just share with you what we've talked to the street about. So it's fully backed up. Um, what we've seen, like for example, with CRM, 99% faster with agentic AI. With customer support, which is one of our most mature use cases, we're right now at about 72% without human, so agentic AI enabled, and the 28% that remains is then supported by Gen AI. So where there's a human involved, there's learning there in terms of triaging that with assistance from Gen AI, in terms of the actual routing of that and feeding back so that it can be more self-service. So that's all wonderful. What we also decided to do was, when we were doing our budgeting internally, because we're growing quite rapidly, we wanted to really practice the whole discipline of how are we going to grow our staffing. So what we looked at was the different roles, and then identifying which tasks within those could be supported by agentic AI and which could be completely done autonomously. And so we have launched this concept of AI employees. One of those that has been extremely successful is for IT support. So I'm happy to, and so we consider if it's 90% or more done autonomously, that is an AI employee. So with that parameter, we're like 93% for the last quarter with IT. And the other ones that we're launching, that we're piloting with, because you mentioned pilot, HR, recruiting coordination. So there's like an agent that is an AI recruiter, HR recruiter. And then another one is for finance. It's like accounts receivable, cash application. Those activities are being done agentically. When you look at all of this in aggregate, right now we have captured $350 million in an annualized basis. So we're pretty happy with that. There's a lot more to learn. Definitely, it's not straightforward and easy. There's a lot of learnings behind that the team has gone through. But I wanted to share some of the high level in terms of the art of the possible.
So do the AI agents also go through appraisals along with the employees?
That's something that it's a very great point, because the other thing that we're going to be working on is, if there are AI agents that are working with me for a particular function, I need to have visibility to what those agents are doing, where they're getting stuck. Is it in an integration with, say, another software? So what do I need to do to help unblock them, right? That sort of thing. So it's going to be interesting as these things evolve, that each individual is going to become like a manager of agents as well, which is really cool.
Very, very interesting. Well, when we are talking about artificial intelligence, we also, of course, have to talk about governance. We have to talk about responsibility, ethics. So, Kanika, coming to you now, within the BFSI sector, of course, for fraud prevention is absolutely key. And, today cyber criminals are always ahead of the curve. They're using technology as well, and, coming up with new scams and new frauds every other day. So, what role is AI playing today in safeguarding operations, and how do you really balance that with fairness, with accuracy and transparency for your genuine customers?
So first, I'll touch your first part. I think thanks to AI, so we can try to stay ahead of the curve. And the best part is the mosaic theory that these hackers apply. We are also able to apply with all sort of data that's available, especially in the underbanked sector. It becomes even more pertinent because if I talk about NBFC, for example, the way I made my utility bill payments to maybe the rentals and how my bank statement looks like tells me a lot about the customer behavior. And same goes for insurance, for that matter, that how is the customer behaving? Is the customer in a particular location or is behaving very absurdly since last few days or weeks? So all these patterns tells me a lot about the customer behavior and helps me conclude beyond just the credit bureau factor that used to be the key. So that's one aspect. The other is also, it's important that while AI is there, we need to understand that it can't be a black box that we are using. So we need to be very mindful of the logics and the modeling that AI is using. So we obviously, it's important that we are bringing in that human angle and a lookout angle to that entire black box. So it remains a very transparent thing on how we are doing that entire fraud detection. Thirdly, it's important that we need to be cognizant about the biases that AI brings in. So that thing needs to be constantly looked at, updated, and controlled in a manner that doesn't impact my speed, but at the same time, it helps me to quickly identify the right behavior and the right empathy that is required in this entire game.
Right. You brought up a bunch of very important points there, and Kirti, I want you to add to that. At your organization, how are you embedding governance, explainability, transparency, and really a lot of human oversight into AI deployments? Because, like Kanika said, there is always that fear of a biased model or AI going wrong.
So I think very important aspects. I'll do it into two parts. One, with the help of AI, earlier when I need to do review, I would only be able to do a sample basis. Today I have the ability to review the whole universe, which is so empowering, because on one side, the moment I increase my span, my insights and the not just the volume, the quality of insights improve. Now, earlier I would be able to do something which is called as more of a quantitative nature evaluations. Today I can do a qualitative nature, a behavioral aspect. So let's take an example. I have a customer who's 90 years old. And let's take an example. He has not transacted with me because of any reason for last 10 years. And all of a sudden he comes today and says, please change my bank account. I'll get an alert and says, this is not a standard pattern. Can you please look at it? So he has made my whole process real time, giving me an alert. Please check it out. Even without the customer on the other side understanding that place, I can do a kind of a check at the back end and let the person knows you are into a safe hands. Earlier, when we used to do a kind of customers, call centers, when we do the kind of an audit and review, I would be able to do just a 10% or a 20%, and I'll assess my quality of the agents and do. Today, I can do it 100%. Many a times on the real time basis, I would be able to find out that is there anything which is going wrong, or the information which has been provided to a customer is either incorrect, or probably many of the pieces where I just know that is a standalone. I need to know my account statement. You don't need anything. Please take it and move forward. But how I'm going to, I can build various kind of a model. If customer A comes up and ask, I need an account statement, what kind of a behavior he has. He has made additional purchase. He has made redemption. He has come up and asked questions that I need to understand what is the portfolio underneath. He needs to. So I understand the behavior and I'm proactively able to support that. All these things in the so-called history, I was not able to do with that kind of an efficiency. So it has really helped both the organization and customers lot more empowered, lot more real time, and the quality of deliverables have improved out there.
And employees as well, right?
Oh, everybody is happy. So when you're just talking, does the agents get reviewed? So I can tell it to you, it's extremely important for you to do that. In fact, when you are deploying the agents, your review has to be practically far more real time and understand, so that, as we mentioned, it does not go bad. It's able to do the things which is it's supposed to deliver. So out there, the review mechanism has to be very, very strong and far more real time, so that during the course of the time, whatever kind of a corrections you need to make, you are able to make that and still make them relevant out there. So they are doing the things which they are supposed to do. You need to ensure that they don't become redundant and not add the value which they are supposed to add value.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Gurpreet, coming to you, you've built teams to offer various kinds of solutions in risk management, in analytics, in stress testing. Now, how are you weaving AI into these various workflows within the organization to really power much smarter, much faster decision making without really disrupting the consistency that your customers expect from you?
No, no, excellent. I think we've built products, and we've actually enabled our products through AI to, as the other panelists were talking about, to improve customer experience. Like for stress testing, we've been doing this for the US and the European banks for their regulatory needs. I think with AI, what we've been able to do is we've been able to build pattern recognition, scenario design, portfolio segmentation aspects through AI. But at the same time, the whole framework is still human enabled. The outcome is still human decided, and that's we work with the customer. I think that, for example, I mean, that's on one side. The other side, on the domestic ratings business, I think, as I was talking about, I think we still run the outcomes through rating committees. The analysts still run it, but you have today with alternate data coming in, a good amount of large amount of alternate data has come in. I think early warning signals are there for the taking. So you have to recognize the pattern. You have to build that up. With AI, we've been able to build that up very quickly and consistently so that the signals are sent to the analytical teams, signals are sent to the rating committees to be able to take decisions on those signals. AI has really helped that. We've built solutions, and these are new. Some of them are new ones. Like we work with many of the asset managers and in the private credit space in the US, where it's a market which is growing significantly. And there, I think the requirement for valuations is increased multifold, not also because they are growing, be the fact that the customer is expecting valuation reports in that segment quite often. So, I mean, you have a traditional way to do it, which does. And with what we've done is we've been able to build agentic tools. Some of them are like Lego blocks, which start from data segmentation, data analysis, which starts with working with even assisting decision making, and finally to fact sheets. Each of these Lego blocks you can fit what you want, and we've helped many of the asset managers come out with solutions much faster. I think that's how we're using it.
Right, great. And Ashish, as Chief Transformation Officer, how do you really ensure that AI adoption is fast, yet it is trusted, it is secure? Where do you build the guardrails while ensuring that AI adoption is happening at scale when it comes to workflows, when it comes to ethical use, and really creating a balance within the organization?
That's a great question. In fact, this is one of the things when you think about these amazing technologies, you have to think about, okay, how you incorporate that. So as I was describing before, when we embarked on this internally about 8 months ago, one of the key questions was, we're running a very large and complex global business. How are we going to do this? So our internal IT team actually developed something called the AI Control Tower. And then later on, it was productized. So what we felt was we need to have a balance and understand the separation of responsibility of a company to do what it needs to do, and a platform that allows them to use things in the AI context. So what I mean by that is, this control tower, this is how we're managing it internally. The AI control tower, it focuses on visibility, it focuses on risk and compliance, model efficiency or efficacy, adoption, and value. So what we do is we afford these capabilities, but each company, including our own, is still responsible for our data governance. It's still responsible for model risk management. It's still responsible for our security, right? Those things get contextualized on a single pane of glass for the AI use cases. So now when those are contextualized, to the extent that privacy or ethics are reflected in these different risk management disciplines and artifacts that the company has, those get manifested. Meanwhile, as models are looked at in terms of their efficacy, if you start seeing less efficacy or you start seeing less adoption, it is a trigger that you need to do something, right? You can't just let it go. So that is the balance. Of course, we'll have to evolve this. The other thing that is really cool about the agentic AI world and how we've incorporated it is you can load policies, and each company has policies, right, for a variety of, and you can load it in this back end called the RAG back end, that then when the agents that are orchestrated to do these, they're somewhat bound by those policies as they execute the action, which is brilliant because it gives you another way to kind of guardrail in runtime of that execution of whatever that business process is. So that's how we're doing it, and we're still learning a lot, and there's a lot more evolution that needs to happen.
Always, always. Well, I'm going to shift gears a little bit and let's focus a little more on the expansion of the ecosystem and expanding the reach to the consumer. Now, how can AI really help in simplifying the onboarding process, personalizing products? You spoke a little bit about vernacular languages. Beyond that, how do you bridge the trust gaps with consumers, particularly those whose digital literacy may not be at the highest yet?
Right. So I think as I said in the beginning, that the first the and foremost thing is that we start thinking ourselves more as the financial advisors to our customers, or rather, let me say, the potential customers who are out there, just exploring the world and just trying to understand things. So you need to be literally that personal advisor to them, and not anymore uh, standard website out there, or a call center out there speaking a very standard language. So that brings me to the point that the entire conversation with the customers has to be very personalized right from the beginning. And of course, data helps me a lot, in curating this entire thing. When there is a data, when there is an thing called ML and AI, which can process that huge amount of data and tell me exactly that what I need to speak to my customer, and at what point of time I need to speak to my customer, in what language, through what channel I need to speak to my customer. Everything can be curated, and the efficiencies, in my past experience, I've seen the cold calling, as we usually used to say when we make outbound calls to the customer. I've seen the when it gets curated, I've seen the conversions as high as 20%, which is usually, it's usually hardly 0.5%, 1% to 2%, depending on the industry. But that's where, from there to the double digit growth, is only because there is an AI, there is the potential data that we can curate. Secondly, I also think that there is a fundamental change in, as we used to call, KPIs. I will like to redefine the word KPIs itself. I think, to me, KPIs is like, K means knowing your customer better, P means protecting your customer, I is inclusivity of that customer and integrating to the life of that customer, and then S is servicing that customer. So that's the KPIs to me. And the moment we start thinking about these KPIs, I think the shift will happen and the experience will automatically going to be much better.
Well, that is beautifully articulated, Kirti. If I may ask you to add to that, now in mutual funds as well, AI has the potential to integrate the ecosystem, going beyond consumers that Kanika was just talking about. You have distributors, you have fintech partners, you have the larger ecosystem. Now, how do you envision AI really helping integrate this ecosystem better, making it tighter, and perhaps work happening much faster?
So I think among all the financial services, mutual fund would be the only one who works with that kind of an open architecture. We are B2B2C, we are B2C, we are B2B. You will have individual distributors or advisors who are selling. You will have small time fintechs who are selling. You will have a large time fintechs. You will have established banks and broking firms. So practically, if you look at the ecosystem which is trying to reach or reach to the consumer and mutual fund is very, and everybody transact based on their own personalized, curated based on their customer segment. I think one very, very important aspect where as an AMC we work out is based on the SEBI's guidelines, we have our investor education program, and we have been the leader in this particular. We organize various kind of a Nivesh Mahakam. And I think how we use the AI out there on that particular platform is this helps us in analyzing each and every micro market and understand what is the kind of need that local investor and the local distributor or advisor needs it. And I can curate a program to meet that. So the requirement of a person who is from Mumbai would be very, very different than from the distributor and the customer community who is at a Meerut or a Hubli or a Raipur would be completely different. I would be able to understand that micro market and customize my program, the literacy program, much better. And the moment I'm able to do, I'm simultaneously will also be able to manage those and advise and guide them, all the participant in future, and says, okay, you've come out there. This is the kind of an interest you've showed. Can I work it out and guide you and handhold you going forward out there? The another important aspect becomes, how do I manage the complete journey or the life cycle of, so right from the onboarding to a person who is able to transit, from a point he manages his portfolio and a risk management, to a servicing, how do I, each and every point or a stage and the platform of his choice, the language of his preference, the understanding and the risk capability, I can stitch all of them together and provide that this is the way you want. So I can create an account statement the way I want to look. It's completely different from the way the Ashish wants or the Gurpreet wants or Kanika or you want it out there. That's the kind of an ability which we can build right now. I can provide you a product which is suitable to you based on looking at not just the information that I might look at your Facebook, how you work on this. I might see what you're doing on the either on a LinkedIn or on a social media, and understand at what life stage you are, what kind of your risk taking capacity, maybe what kind of a life goals that you are looking at, and I can stitch things together and communicate to you in that particular language. Looking at this, probably this is the right kind of a product, or I can say no, this is not the right kind of a product for you. You're a 90-year-old and you want to go for a 3-year lock-in period. No, that's not the product for you. Please come back and have it.
So
I would
how accurate is AI in this at this point, and how much human intervention do you need?
Oh, at this particular point of a time, I don't think so. We can solely and slowly realize, but this would help us in augmenting our matter. So I think before just we were talking about, let's take an example, and I think Gurmeet would agree on that. My base level of evaluation, when I'm doing a kind of a research, the more and more effective my research is, more and more data I'm able to do and put it into my model. That's the telescope, the quality of the telescope I would be able to improve out there. These all help me in getting the data as much as possible so that I can improve. These are beginnings that we are making. There's a long path we need to do it, but I think the pace at which we are growing, the future is not very far off. It's coming a little closer with every passing day.
Yes,
out
much
there.
closer and
Much
very, very
closer,
fast.
much closer. But
Right.
that's a good thing, because
Yeah.
that's the way we would be able to do a financial inclusions. Indian saves a lot, but unfortunately they don't
We don't
invest,
invest
and
a
that's
lot.
why they are
Yes.
not able to create the wealth which they are capable of. Many a time we have seen that people prefer more of a physical assets rather than a financial assets, because of the various kind of an understanding, not able to touch and feel. Probably with all these things, we would be able to ally all those fear factors and make them feel more confident in financialization of the
And make them more wealthy in the
yes.
process. Right. Well, Gurpreet, adding on to that, again, in your business, AI is not just internal, it is touching your wider ecosystem, your regulators, your investors, the corporates you work with. Give us an example where AI has really changed the experience or the outcome for one of the ecosystem players with you.
No, thank you. I think we've been working on improving the lives of our customers over a period of time. I think one of the example which comes to mind is we were working with a large bank in the US on the credit work stream. I think we deployed 2 products. I think that's as we talk about evolution of AI, they are relatively new. I think we've been working to further improve them, but they're one of them is Gen AI Credit, the other is Portfolio Covenant Guard. Now, in this, essentially, Gen AI Credit is a Gen AI powered credit note generation tool, which basically makes the life of the analyst quite easy. We deployed it for the second line of defense there, where we're basically reviewing the credits which they do. It was a situation where they were backlogged on credit. A lot of work had to be done. I mean, it's a situation which a lot of organizations relate to. This tool, I think, synthesizes a lot of information which is coming in the market. It looks at the previous notes which the analyst has made, pulls all of that together to get you the first draft. So the idea is to see what was done last time, what information is required, pull that in, give him the draft. And then the analyst then just adds to it and gives his opinion and takes it forward. It required a lot of iterations, but I think because of the fact that we have that domain understanding, we were able to customize it for those environments, for those industries, for those geographies, so that it makes the life easier. Similarly, covenant guard is something where a lot of lending happens, where you do quick checks on whether the customer is fulfilling the covenants. And usually the covenants are written in long documents. You read it up, pull it up, and then kind of then match it. It requires a person doing it. So with GenAI, we've made a tool which kind of assists the analyst who's doing it. A lot of information comes to you faster, quicker, and in a format which you can use, and then the analyst doesn't have to spend that much time. So I think that's two tools. We realized that particular bank at that particular time of the year was really backlogged, and we kind of really made life easier. And we're using this now for many of the other banks too.
Great, great. Wonderful to hear that. Ashish, now with all of these innovations that we're talking about, AI agents, we are talking about unified data fabric. When you look at the future, how do you reimagine operations of various enterprises to be more agile, to be more integrated, and of course, to be more automated or perhaps even autonomous in future?
I think AI work is cross-functional work. So as we really mature on the data side, which is required to make this really take off, we're able to then work across these different silos and then solve bigger problems. So I'll give you a few examples of customers that are already on this journey and the kind of use cases that they're experiencing. So Starbucks in the US, they are using AI to enhance their tech ecosystem, and they've launched across select support centers AI to improve every touch point to improve customer satisfaction. So that's something that that was launched about 2.5 months ago or 3 months ago. There's a large retailer in India that is using agentic AI and AI, because I look at this as a continuum of different levels of analytics and AI, to both improve their inventory management at their stores. A lot of manual handoffs, from the beginning of the process to the end of the process at the end of the day, as well as aligning their SOPs for new store rollouts, which is when you think about the expansion that's going on in India, that's really important as well, and being able to be productive in those stores faster. So that's another one. And the third example that comes to mind is a company we've all heard of, is NVIDIA. So what they're doing is they're using ServiceNow agents from an employee perspective to proactively resolve issues, also personalize for the employees, as well as allow the employees to have a conversation for what they need from an HR perspective. So those are some of the use cases that are relatively new, using this new technology across different industries and even geographies.
Right. Well, great to hear everything that all your organizations are doing. I want to now focus a little bit on the future that is going to be human plus AI. So, coming to you, Gurpreet. Now, when AI starts doing analytics tasks, how do you really reimagine roles? How do you see, the shift happening within the people in the organization? How do they work with AI in partnership and ensure that, work is actually just smarter and not really sidelined?
And I think interesting question and something which is keeping us busy. I think for us, when we look at the larger organization, it's an analytical organization. The idea is that, we're looking at AI literacy and AI fluency. I think the idea here is that most of the folks within the organization need to know these tools, experience it, use it. Because, see, technically many of the large language models are democratized. It's made for the final user. But when you superimpose domain on it, you would need to learn prompt engineering. You need to figure out a way how to actually equip the model to that thinking. Obviously, the world's not going to be constant. You can get the process right, but the context is going to be different every time when something happens. So the idea is the employees need to learn, be comfortable with the tools. The innovation is going to happen with the employees once they learn how to use the tools. I mean, so that is important. We will also have teams which are super fluent in that. They will help guide the larger teams to be able to get to a solution. But the solution will have a significant, I mean, at least what we are envisioning is a good amount of domain getting superimposed on these tools. So therefore, the domains is going to come from the employees. So we need to get them literate there. And the other aspect, what we're also currently thinking, I mean, this might change. We're trying to build, while we have a central AI setup, but we are trying to bring the AI within the separate divisions and functions so that each of them can use the domains they've learned to kind of further empower it. So I think that's the journey we're doing from an AI skilling perspective.
Right. Okay. And while we are talking about this human plus AI future, you spoke a lot about hyper personalization. Now that is very important, but also very sensitive. I think all of us as consumers here, we as our phones listen into our conversations. We talk about a product or a service, and within moments we are spammed with advertisements of that product or service, or you click on a link and you are being tracked. So in this scenario, how do you see AI balancing hyper personalization along with some kind of ethical responsibility, ensuring that customers are guided and not really just treated as targets for sales?
I have a very different perspective on this particular piece. Many a time we believe just because it's AI, its ability to missell or foresell would be very, very high. But I have a very different perspective. In fact, an AI agent will not have a target. The target would be for you and me. And unless and until I put the parameter for it to missell, it would not be able to missell. It would have an ability to say this is not for you into far more fair manner than any other, I'm sorry to say, any other
Human
person
being.
who's sitting on this particular corner, on this table out there. So keeping that in mind, I'm saying is for a computer, it's always 2 plus 2 is 4. It's not possible for him to make it 5 or 6 or 3 or anything else. So important would be the people who are creating, people who are training, people who are monitoring those agents, how to do that. The another important point that we need to keep it in mind, where I think we've all heard that when they have the ability, like case of kind of a GAI, genetic AI or agentic AI, when we are trying to, and they have the ability to learn, we need to ensure that we monitor them very, very rightfully, so we know that they are not learning the wrong things in wrong manner. That would be the responsibility of as human. We need to do that, and that's very, very important aspect. Then only you'll be able to leverage. Otherwise, you are creating a doomsday for yourself, and that's very, very possible. The second important point, probably in the kind of an ecosystem, I think both Kanika and Gurpreet talked about these kind of things, that how do we need to do for the, but we also need to know the new employee force, or the new team members, or the new gen who's coming up into our ecosystem or the business world. Either they are doing their own business, or they come with a very different intellect. And if, as an organization, as a society, if we are not able to use that effectively, we are creating problem for ourselves. If we use AI and the new age technologies, we would be able to keep them far more, I'm sorry to use the word, very, very rudimentary, productive, engaged, and efficient, if we are able to provide. Otherwise, the problem which we all face, after one layer, they'll come up and says, I've got bored, I don't know what to do it, because we are not able to provide them the challenging environment which they have over a period of a time, the kind of an academics they have gone through, the kind of an experiences they have gone through, the kind of a learning and teaching. So somewhere it's equally our responsibility to provide them a work environment which challenges them at every, makes it far more fulfilling, and they are able to innovate, which they are capable of. So I
Absolutely.
believe, rather than just being more fearful about it, we need to know how to do that. Along with this, there's one big aspect which we need to, which I call as emotional, psychological, and the third part is social. We need to incorporate these two things also into this particular ecosystem. Then you will be able to get the more human, more empathetic, more sensitive, more personalized outcome that we are like, and it's possible to do that.
It's absolutely possible to do that. Challenging, but possible. So, Ashish, coming to you with the AI plus human future question, when you look at your wider ecosystem, when you look at your customers, collaborators, give us an example where you are seeing smarter, more collaborative organizations being made because of AI, and also does India have that unique opportunity to really leapfrog like we've done with other pieces of technology? Where are we at as a nation, and our enterprises, a lot of them feeling, having FOMO that everyone is riding the AI bandwagon and I'm not, because there are a lot of enterprises in India right now who are not even at nascent or experimental stages of AI, even the ones who can afford it. So, what's been your general sense with the larger fabric of the country?
Well, I think India has unique advantages, whether it's DPI, AA, or what have you, that nowhere else in the world has these kind of advantages at an ecosystem level. So I think those are to be exploited. And then obviously at population scale, there's so much that can be done. And there's the generation that is there in terms of like the young, if you look at the demographics, there's an advantage inherently also in India. So I see a very fertile environment for success in India overall for innovation. And right now, AI is the spark that can take that innovation to the next level. Um, Internally, when you talk about cross-functional, I'll just give you a small example. When you think about that cross-functional piece, one of the things that we saw was we're able to, when we stitch these together across, say, like sales and accounting and finance, like I'll just give you a use case, and then I'll get to the broader point because I don't want to lose the use case. We used to have like a salesperson is working on something and they're curious about what the commission is going to be. Just take 4 days because it has to go through these departments. With agentic AI and some data science, 8 seconds, right? So the velocity by which then they can do their work and look at different scenarios with the customer to make something work has just sped up. And that's just one example. So I think we're going to see more and more of those things come about. Where do I see things long term? There's a lot there. And I think you picked up on a lot of different points that I was thinking about. I'm going to just focus on trust. And I think that's going to be the linchpin, in one of the key linchpins of success of companies. To the extent that trust can be a differentiator for the employee and the employer. It can be a differentiator for the B2B and for the B2C. So I think it's going to be like, water seeks level because of gravity. So trust is the gravity. And to the extent, yes, governance and all of those things have to happen. But I think there's going to be a self-selection macro level in terms of AI and trust that's going to force people to actually look at trust as a first-class citizen in their architecture, in their offering, in the way that they interact with their customers and all of that, and protect their customers to be successful. So I see that as a macro thing, that those companies that really focus on that will get an advantage. So I know I covered like disparate points, but there were a lot of points that you had asked, so I thought I'd
Yes,
touch all three
absolutely.
of
No,
those.
you summed it up very beautifully. And as we close the conversation, I want to just end this on a lighter note. Now, all of you are C-suite leaders, so give me one daily mundane job of yours, which right now you are doing, but you wish an AI agent would take away from you. And if I can start with you, Kanika.
No more meetings.
No more meetings. Send the AI agent to attend all the meetings. What about you?
Ping me in the morning what my first meeting is.
It will. I mean, I'm sure you have a calendar to do that.
I still need a ping.
Okay. Keerti, what about you?
Eliminate all non-productive things from my calendar.
And finally, Ashish.
I think it's organize my day, similar to yours.
Okay, so it seems like all your AI agents are going to be working a lot towards calendarizing stuff and organizing your day better. Well, ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the COO Collective. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Well, what stands out from today's discussion is that AI at work in India isn't just about automation, it's also about reimagining how operations run, how experiences are delivered, and how ecosystems connect. As AI moves from pilots to daily workflows, the real opportunity for India lies in building systems that are inclusive, transparent, and future ready, where human expertise and AI work hand in hand. That's all we have on this edition of the COO Collective. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us. Goodbye.